This meeting is being recorded.
Okay,
You're not gonna send it to the government, are you?
no, but I'm gonna send it back to you. And that way you'll be able to see that. Tom, you're muted. Tom Young. Down at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there's a microphone.
Yeah.
Bar through it. Okay, now
Can you hear me?
right. Now,
Welcome.
if you get a telephone call or something like I just did, then I should go to mute and then you can do that. Tim, your electrons are traveling a long distance, huh?
Yep, I'm done.
So Tim's got the record for the longest shot here. He's coming from what time is it in what Austria? Anyway, he's checking in from Austria. So
Rose up.
It's just gathering the
I
crowd.
don't remember her.
It's going fine.
Not ready there yet?
No. But they're not even, it's not even time by 2 minutes.
okay.
Here you go. There's everybody. Sit down.
Get my glasses.
Got quite a few participating already.
Well, we got 75 or 79 people who are on the list.
I don't see you.
So if I bring up the list on my computer,
I can
does
do
it go to
anything.
everybody rather than?
I'm gonna make it bigger if I can,
I don't have to touch anything, do I?
Mm-mm.
What do you got your name on there for?
because it's my computer,
No.
but
Okay,
there,
let me name some people here. That's John Black over there, right?
I
Right.
know.
So,
Like,
Carl Chase. That's the good buddy of mine right there.
Yeah.
No, he never did have much hair anyway.
you can hear everything you say.
I know. I told him that before.
okay, whoever this is here is not Mary. Whatever the name says. Who I got there?
That's Jim Saraceni,
Ah,
who hasn't learned to
How you
keep his
doing?
mouth shut either.
My secretary took care of this for me.
We all need one of those.
Yes, we do.
Too.
Clearly. There's me.
I see Carl Chase over there.
Present for duty.
Huh?
that would be Jerry Jenkins, right? Jerry?
Yeah,
I know, I can't hear you.
you can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, Jerry Jenkins, Corky Sullivan.
That's not Jerry Jenkins, it's Jerry Kelly.
Oh, Jerry Kelly. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Well, we're picking up here.
Yeah, we got Tony.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony.
Chuck Bracken.
How is it?
You guys are coming now, starting to come in faster than I can push the buttons here.
Hey, Rex.
William,
Hey,
I've been meaning to call you.
that's okay. This is better. We both so handsome still.
Rex,
How are things in Idaho, Van Dam?
Hold.
That's why I put the palm trees behind me, so you could be jealous.
Yeah, nice going, Rex.
Yeah.
We certainly
I was gonna put snow behind me, but
should have gone there and sat together. That's what it worked.
About 7 degrees this morning in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
That's what you get.
It's
for
cold
living
here
up
in
north.
Florida too.
33 or so.
thank
Well, it's
goodness.
chilly in San Diego, it's 57.
Guys
So I'm
must
wearing
be
long
freezing.
sleeves. Florida's in the 60s.
Boy. Bob, you're
Florida's,
the background award.
Ah, it's a light installation here in Paso Robles.
Yeah, I thought that was your office.
Hey, Steve,
Right.
if I were to go to the list of our candidates, does it then go on everybody's screen or is it? But can I look at it individually?
I'm trying to understand what you're saying on that.
Your attachment that has
I
the
go-
list of all the guys, if one person brings it up,
Excellent.
will it affect all the screens or just the one that,
Well,
I'll
what,
look at.
without my permission, you can't do very much of anything.
Can anybody,
Okay,
can anybody hear me?
Dale,
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
This is Dale Dickey.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So far, I
can hear you.
all right, Randy, what's your last name there?
Me?
Right.
Dickey
Yeah, it's Randy
Oh, Randy.
Pikett.
Okay, got you.
and Dale Dickey.
Dale, I know who you
never
are.
forget Dale Dickey.
We got Bill. Hey, Bill.
For you.
Okay, P-I-K-U-E-T. Okay. All right.
Steve, can you tell how many are signed on right now?
31.
Good.
We're moving on to actually a second page of names. All right. Who else haven't I got named here? Who's Bolta?
Jim Flack.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I don't know why they called me that. It's just my email.
Yeah, well, I didn't call that. It comes up.
Bracken's looking about as mean as he always did.
All right. Look, I'm gonna
Can you remember?
set up a few ground rules here, and then we'll move back on here. Let me make sure. Mount Atlas, man.
Yeah,
Who's that?
that's JP Jarvis.
Ah, very good.
Would have recognized you anywhere.
I'm sure.
I don't recognize anybody.
Not likely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, Corky Sullivan still please.
he was there a minute ago. There he is. Okay, look, first of all, let me make a recommendation. And that is at the bottom of the screen, click on the word participants, click on the word chat. Then go up to the top right-hand corner of the black box and click on the word view. When you have the view there, you should have a check mark next to the word gallery. And then click on the word full screen. And the participant box, when you click on full screen,
Oh, here we are.
the participant box should go off to the right-hand side and get out of the way, but you'll have a list for most part of the participants. And you'll be able to send messages with a chat to any individual who's here. Where it says everyone, you can just put everyone in the meeting or a specific name. All right. I don't know if that brief thing was sufficient. If we are now up to 31 people, apparently there's a limit to 25 people showing on a page. I've got 2 pages here. So I can, by switching back and forth, I can see lots of people. Richie.
I've lost everybody.
Richie and John Jenkins. Who lost everybody?
Dale Dickey, I can't see anybody anymore. I went in under the participants.
Participants and chat, then go up to view. Viewers,
I'm on the page that says first platoon, second platoon, third platoon.
that's breakout rooms. Just put an X on that. I'll come to that in a minute.
What, I don't know, it just says join or,
Don't join, just put an X on the box on the top right of that box. I'll talk about that later.
I don't see what you're talking about.
The box that says breakout rooms has an X in the top right-hand corner. Just click on that X
There is no X on my screen.
on that box that says breakout rooms.
I hit that and it went right to join breakout rooms.
You don't want to join the breakout rooms. You want to get that out of the way for the time being.
Do you know any of the others?
I don't know how to do that. It's not letting
Should
me.
be an X on the top right-hand corner
There is no X on my phone.
on your phone. Okay, you got a phone.
Let me just get out of here and come back in.
Okay.
Good idea.
All right, look, I suspect that this is going to get a little bit mad over here. What I propose is that I've set up breakout rooms for 4 platoons, the 5th platoon being here because I'm not going to go off to the breakout room. So I'll need somebody for each breakout room. I will give them the authority to record and basically be a co-host. So who here can take care of first platoon? John Black, are you first
No,
platoon?
I'm not very literate with this stuff.
Well, nobody here really is.
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Okay, look, when I send everybody off to the breakout rooms, I will authorize you to record when you're in the breakout room. I'll make you a co-host. Well, I'm gonna make you a co-host now.
Okay.
Co-host. Yes, you're now a co-host. You should have a little more box down at the bottom of the screen. And that should allow you, there's 3 dots and more.
Yes.
I see a breakout room
Yeah, but
logo.
above that, you should have something on recording.
Oh, right next to it says record.
Okay, so when you're in the breakout room, you click on record and it'll probably say you have to get permission. And I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody sees the breakout rooms. One down the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so why don't we first start out with first of all, does anybody have questions for me right here?
Who are you?
I don't know. I can't remember who I was.
When did you start on this whole project of gathering
I
information?
started at the beginning of the month, looking for people. I talked to Larry Sterling.
Yeah, how far back did you start to do this?
I started at the beginning of the month, or not the beginning, but it took me 10 days to find everybody. The first letter I sent out was 10 days after I started.
Oh.
Now, all that stuff has been on my computer for years. We had a mini reunion and I used the material from that. That's what I sent out to you with some additions. Okay, so I'm going to propose to move people out to breakout rooms by platoon. And then we can come back here and talk about things as a group later.
Hell, I can't remember what platoon I was in.
There you go.
Does anybody need to be reminded?
No.
I do.
Dickie is
First.
3rd platoon.
I do.
Carl, you guys take care of Dickie because he'll get lost without you.
Well,
I don't even see the breakout rooms now, so
That's the thing. I didn't see the breakout room.
Move your arrow down.
I'll throw you in the breakout room. I think I might have the ability to do that. Okay,
Steve, I need my breakout room.
say again.
It's Jerry, I need breakout room.
Getting big now.
You need a breakout room.
Yep.
Well, if you, down at the bottom of the screen, you should see a button. that
Well, I
says-
found that. I don't know which one.
You need to know which platoon you're in other words.
Right.
Okay, Jenkins. Third platoon.
Okay.
Poland, which platoon?
Fourth platoon.
Thank you.
Where's the 5th platoon?
Randy, you're with Poland.
Okay, I don't know how to get there, but
No,
With John.
we're gonna work on this, okay?
okay.
John, we're gonna send you off to everybody from first platoon. Go off to your breakout room number 1.
When should we come back?
I will call you probably, let's say in 1 hour. Come back to the main room, but you can come in and then go out anytime you want, except for John, who's going to be sort of managing things, because if he leaves, the recording stops.
Steve, can you hear me? Tony Abbott speaking.
Yes, Tony.
My concern is I see those 4 little blocks for breakout rooms. So would number 1 be the top left? I don't see the rooms being numbered.
Did you click on it, Tony?
Call from unavailable.
Is that?
Tony, if you click on it, a box comes up and it lists the rooms.
Right there.
2nd, 3rd, 4th. Where's the 5th?
I click
Oh,
on-
5th. This is the 5th platoon, because I'm here. Okay, so 5th platoon's gonna stay here.
Hey,
Okay.
Steve,
Right.
Joe Grodzinski, which platoon was I in?
Third.
3rd? Okay.
Okay, let's start out just with the first
Gotta
platoon,
remember shots.
okay?
Jim Saraceni doesn't remember what platoon he was in.
5th platoon,
He was in.
5th.
all right? So everybody in first platoon, go to the breakout room for first platoon.
Aha.
That would be Gene Abbott.
That was because the lights are on.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. It's
Hello,
Okay, here we are.
right, look, I'm on another call right now, and it's gonna be for a couple of hours. Let me call you back at this number.
Dale Dickey.
how
Okay,
you doing, buddy?
thank you.
Well, Dale, I'll never forget you.
Oh, I can't believe I went to school with so many old people.
I think I'm
Still kicking.
not in. John Lux platoon there. Because he was the host for co-host for first platoon.
Are we in the breakout rooms now?
No.
No.
Okay.
Steve, we can't hear you.
Oh, they were just breaking it up.
All right, Anthony Abbott, Eugene Abbott, first platoon has 3 people in there already.
Am I in it?
Yeah.
So you should be, Anthony and Gene Abbott should be over there.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you found breakout rooms, click and join the first platoon.
Sound.
Second platoon has got 2 people in there
Yeah,
already.
Corky here.
You guys are jumping the gun over there. Vince, when you get to the breakout room, where are you? Vince Kensel, let's see.
Just look for the fish.
Yeah,
Steve, my
There you
breakout room disappeared.
Vince, I'm gonna make you a co-host. When you get to the breakout room, click on the record button. It'll probably ask you to get permission to record. I hope I will see it and give you that permission. Okay, just coordinate things in your platoon.
Steve, can you hear me?
Who's talking?
Mel,
Mel,
my breakout room at the top of my screen disappeared when I clicked on it.
You're supposed to click on join.
It
Okay.
never gave me a choice.
You're a first platoon?
Yes.
Put in waiting room, mute. Rename. Okay. Mel Brav. I'm assigning you to first platoon. Okay, here, I got control now. I got you. I can take you and dump you anywhere I want. All right.
Been
there.
Anthony Abbott, bang.
Yes, I'm here, but don't seem to be in the room.
Join breakout room.
His name was Lou Ranieri, but one of the other clients I had there, one of the other partners was this guy named Jay Conley. And Jay was a member, he was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. And for part of his assignment, he was with MACV-SOG. And Jay and 5 other people decided that what we really needed was a ticker tape parade. And so there were those 6 people, and then 3 of us sort of in the second group. So there were 9 of us all together, and we put together what turned out to be the largest ticker tape parade New York had since MacArthur. And we had everybody who showed up, and the internet really wasn't available then, and I couldn't find any of you guys. But all the Wall Street firms pulled out their ancient ticker tape machines, and for a period of about 3 months, they just ran ticker tape. And so when the parade came across the Brooklyn Bridge, then it entered down into lower Manhattan, and all this ticker tape was thrown out. It was just unbelievable. And Westmoreland was there.
Brown. Oh, shut up. I got kidnapped over here by myself. But I got out of it. So.
Yeah.
Are you going to move me?
Who wants to get moved and where?
Dale to the 3rd platoon.
Yeah, Dale, okay. We got rooms.
Steve, I don't see a 5th platoon.
5th platoon's right here.
What do you mean right here?
We're in it.
You're in it.
In you.
Oh, I'm in it.
Because
Okay.
when I went away, as I just did,
Well, I want to talk to Dale Dickey,
well, then you better go to 3rd platoon.
and then I'll come back and talk to Saraceni.
I just moved him there. So who wants to move where?
I want to talk to Dale Dickey.
Who?
Carl.
Carl, okay. Well, you are 3rd platoon.
Okay. So what do I hit join?
Hold on, I'm gonna move you back. 3rd platoon.
Steve, are there enough people that we really need to have breakouts?
Say again?
This is Larry. Are there enough people that we really need breakouts?
We filled the screen up right now. We've got 7 people in 3rd platoon, 6 people in the 1st platoon. That's almost a screen load of people that we've already got here. And I don't know how many more are still out there.
Okay.
Okay,
Steve, can I go to first platoon?
you want to go to first platoon? Okay.
I think.
Doug Tomaso. Hey, Doug,
Yeah,
my wife said, no matter what happens on here, if you don't get a hold of Tomaso, the best looking guy I'd ever saw at the time.
she's very perceptive.
I won't call her up.
Perfect.
I won't call her up on to show her this screen though.
Larry, is that you down there? Call yourself Vine Street?
That's just the name of my software.
Hey, Jane. Want to see Tomaso?
Hey, Doug,
Yo,
where do you, it's Rex.
yeah,
Where do
Rex.
you live in the country now?
Place called Blaine, Washington, about 3 miles from the Canadian border.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Beautiful up there.
Yeah, well, not this time of the year, but about 6
Larry,
months.
didn't we go through
Ohio.
Blaine on one of our trips?
Oh, do you? Where are
No,
you?
no.
Larry and I
from
drove to
Ohio.
Alaska.
Where?
Where'd we get the ferry?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can get it in the States or up in Vancouver.
We got it in the States.
Yeah. Seattle?
Bellingham,
Well, north of Seattle. Where was it, Larry?
Bellingham, I think.
Bellingham?
Yeah, you get where do you get the ferry north of Seattle?
Bellingham?
Yeah, I think we were at Bellingham.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
Right now the border's closed though, you know.
What was your career there?
My career? Well, before Blaine, I was with NCIS as an agent.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah. About 28 years or so.
So you consulted on the shows now?
Yeah. I wish I did. That guy, I know my buddy's consulting and he's making large money.
I can imagine.
Of course, when it first came on TV, we told him it wouldn't last a year.
Well, no wonder they didn't hire you as a consultant.
Well, he also retired in Los Angeles, which was not part of the program. He's the only agent that retired in Los Angeles.
Hey, Doug.
Yo.
Hey, I've got my wife up here, Jane. You may remember her when you and I went to Fort Oliver together. She said, that's not him.
I did not.
What a sense of humor.
Better looking. Better looking than you were before, right?
That's
Yep.
it.
Don't embarrass him.
I don't think Tomaso could ever be embarrassed.
Of course, with all the lifts, you know, it helps.
A little drop. I mean,
And some people don't have hair.
that's an Italian in him.
Oh, God,
Okay.
guys, that's great.
Fort Holabird, huh?
Yeah, Oliver, remember that?
Yeah, oh boy.
That's a long time ago.
Long time ago, yeah.
So where'd you go after that?
Germany,
Yeah, I did too. That's right. We lucked out.
24th Infantry Division.
Yeah, I went to the 3rd Infantry.
Yeah.
Now that's
I didn't get any ribbons though.
not the National Defense Ribbon.
That's right.
Well, if you guys write your obituaries or have somebody write it, make sure you don't make the mistake that one of our members did, because his obituary writers told us all about his Bronze Star Medal, METAL.
Yeah.
It,
So
it,
Doug, did you stay in the service a whole long time after? How
I'm
long
sorry,
did you
Rex.
stay in the service? Doug, how long did you stay in the service after
Oh, just
OCS?
just the 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you went directly to NCIS or?
No, I had a couple jobs in between, but I was with Allstate Insurance for a while in San Diego, and then I went to I joined NCIS out of San Diego in '74.
And were you with them in San Diego for any period of time or?
Yeah, I was in San Diego. My first tour there was about 2 years, and then Spain, and then back to San Francisco, Japan, back to San Diego, Washington, D.C., Bremerton, Washington, Naples, Italy, and then retired.
Sounds like some good tours.
Except for D.C. What a terrible place.
Yes, indeed.
What a terrible place for me. Headquarters is not the answer.
Well, the others sound pretty great to me.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good, but it's a young man's sport, you know. I decided to get out, what is it, 50, about 55, I guess. Then I went to work for a law firm, but it was, that Naples tour just about did me in, so.
Why is that?
Well, I had 12 offices.
Yeah.
In, all the way from the Middle East to Iceland. And I had 100 agents. And too many moving parts there, you know, it's just middle of the night phone calls. This guy's got the problem, that happened, this happened. Headquarters calling, what's the status of this, blah, blah, blah. Navy, of course, was always a pain in the ass. You know, they were always trying to pretend like I worked for them, and I didn't. And so we had our clashes there, but it was just a tough tour.
Hey, Doug,
Yo,
when you were in Naples, did you ever run into Mrs. Ferragamo? You know, the people that make ties, Ferragamo?
oh yeah, no.
She ended up, I think, divorcing her husband who had all the money, but she had the rest of it, and married an old retired colonel who used to work with me in Saudi Arabia. A very interesting city, according to him. The Ferragamos were kind of tied with the local mafia.
Yeah, Naples is it's a very tough city. It's compared to the rest of Italy. Yes, the rest of Italy is pretty pristine and pretty not. Well, you've been there. Have you been there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Naples was tough. It was tough living conditions too.
Right.
Although we had a nice place, just a crazy place. I mean, a lot of theft, a lot of craziness. So it was an interesting tour, but it was my last.
Right. Yeah.
So what's your tip?
I'm sorry?
What'd you say, Rex?
Rex is frozen.
Rex?
Bill.
yeah.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah,
what did you end up doing after? Did you stay in the service or?
no, I was 2 years, 10 months and 15 days.
Really?
Got out
Who's
of
counting?
Vietnam,
Who's counting?
landed in Washington. 4 hours later, I was out of the service. Got married 4 days after that. Bill Witcher has that as a wedding date also.
That's right. Yep,
And,
same ones.
then basically my
So you
entire
both got out?
with the dairy industry in the West Coast.
Yeah,
It treated me well enough, so life is good.
great.
You stay in, Tom?
Bill Witcher, what would you do when you got out?
Well, I went back to graduate school and then I worked at Stanford for 40 years. in finance and then information technology.
Wow.
And retired there 10 years ago.
In Stanford, you work for the school?
Yeah, for the university, Stanford University.
Right. Is that where you went to school?
No, I went to Northwestern as an undergraduate, but I went to graduate school at Stanford.
So
Finished up there. And then just, we stayed right here. So we were in Palo Alto for almost 40 years. And then we moved to Redwood City 10 years ago. We had to get out of a 2-story house because our knees couldn't take it anymore. Nobody else has that problem, I'm sure. And so we've been here in Redwood City close by.
The irony of this whole pitch, and I really think it's great that he put this together, is that when I was reviewing the names on the addressee lines, it's amazing how when you read the name, the face, the image of the face or the person came up immediately.
Yeah.
That tells you something about the status of your brain.
That's right. Yep.
Can't remember yesterday, but you can remember Bill Witcher.
That's right.
His stance, demeanor, everything. It's just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember Dale Dickey too. Wasn't Dale a guy who was a prior service and probably the strackest, guy?
Yeah.
He was former Army or something, he wasn't like his college ops guys.
That's right.
Dale, he probably looked at us like a bunch of duds.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was something else. It's terrible. But our platoon leader, as I understand, was killed in Vietnam.
Attack officer,
Right.
Hollifield.
Hollifield.
Okay.
He was a great guy. He really was.
He was good.
He was.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, some of the TAC officers, most of the TAC officers turned out to be younger than we were.
Yeah.
Not that it's significant, but it just didn't seem that way at the time.
We had some hyper kind of lieutenants. Then we had guys like Caulfield.
Yeah.
This big varying demeanors between those guys. But it was just a shame to hear, however many years ago it was that I heard it, they had died over there, because I don't think he wanted to go back over there at all.
So Bill Van Dam, how long have you been in Idaho?
30 years. Been in this house 31 years now. We're getting ready to sell it and move into an adult community. The place is too big for us. It's an acre and it's 5 bedrooms. So too much house. And the prices look good right now. So I'm pretty excited.
That's good. So are any of your family still in the area?
My son, my oldest son, also William Cornelius, who happens to live down on the same road as we were on, but there's a disconnect between the roads. Anyway, there's no end of grief between the William Cornelius IV and William Cornelius III and the same road. So I have a lot of insurance stuff from him. He has mine, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's good. We like it here in Idaho. But I worked my last 6 years that I was working was in California, and I just did it long distance. Bought a travel trailer, had one down there where we stayed, or I stayed. We kept this place because when we were in Idaho with this nice place, we went to buy something in California, go back to Sacramento area. Wow, you can move out of California very comfortably. You don't move back.
That's right.
The price difference is staggering.
Yeah.
So we made it all work out. It worked out well.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Good.
And by the way, I did take advantage of the GI Bill and got into Cornell University without any.
Yeah, that's great. We see Larry Sterling down there in San Diego.
San Diego, it's a lovely place.
I sent the elevator downstairs to you.
I would like to remember one of our classmates, Tracy Murray, who was killed in action. He ended up getting the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions in Vietnam, and I have a story about him. He always told us about his hometown, which was Miles City, Montana. And I was in Montana one time and decided to go over to Miles City and lay flowers at his grave or do something to remember him by. And I could not find hide nor hair of any mention of Tracy Murray in Miles City, Montana. So I ended up leaving an ad in the newspaper in Miles City telling him that in the ad mentioning all of us who had known him and trying to find him. It turned out that his parents were from North Dakota and they had died, and he had moved to Miles City to live with his married sister who had a different name. He'd gone to Paroque Hill High School and Paroque Hill College. And when he was killed in action, he was buried back in North Dakota. So there was no memory of him in Miles City, Montana. So it was, his sister saw the ad and wrote me a letter and told me why there was no memory of him in that town. Anyway, Tracy Murray was a wonderful guy to be with, and we loved him in OCS.
Wow.
How many people here were able to download that OCS file?
Yeah,
I was.
I did.
Yep.
The Excel file, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, not the Excel
no,
file. PDF, the zip file with PDF file.
zip
I've got it on a thumb drive, but I haven't figured out how to get it, broken, unzipped, even though I have to unzip.
So Tom Young, Doug Tomaso. Who else has not been able to do it? Bill,
I did it.
I zip file, I downloaded it, but I can't get it to print.
Okay.
You're not trying to print it. You're trying the PDF file you want to open. And
Right.
you open OCS.pdf and everything will flow from there.
Okay.
Uh,
A lot of good information on there.
Yeah, just tremendous amount of kind of detail, which is kind of interesting to just go through and bring back memories. It's great.
Yeah, Steve did a great job on that.
Yeah, really wonderful, Steve.
Still continuing to do a good job.
Well, let me bring that up. I'm going to share the screen here. If you open up the file, OCS.pdf, you can go through here. Every time you see this at the beginning or end of each file, you can click and come back to this place. For example, here's the first platoon.
Okay.
And you click on it here, you go back to the original page. We had a reunion in 2001, and there's a bunch of pictures from that reunion at that time. So it's a reading, that's a reading file. Don't bother to print it out. It's very long. So afterward, you guys somebody wants to talk to me about it, I'll work with you. I work with a couple of people and they got their stuff downloaded. So
that's better.
If you haven't been able to download it again, Anthony Abbott's son showed me how to use Google Drive. So I was able to switch. I'm able to move things by Google Drive as well. Not that I really know how to do it, but it's there.
Steve, I think if you remind people to change the suffix to EXE rather than your initials, then it downloads easily.
Well, you download it first and then you change it, because a lot of systems will not allow you to download an EXE file directly.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Originally, what my intention was that I thought a self-extracting zip file would not require you to have zip or unzip on your computer. It would do it automatically. That's what I interpreted self-extracting to be. But my computer, because it already has WinZip on it, was doing it what I thought was correctly, but I didn't realize it was still using the WinZip. So that was my mistake. And that turned out to be a colossal screw up, I think. But everybody's having trouble, and for some reason, I don't know why, but it seemed that Larry Sterling was downloading the file about 15 times.
Me too.
I came to the conclusion it really wasn't him. It was just his name was being put on it by Mail Big File for some reason, because they didn't know who was actually downloading it. And he was the last name on the list. Larry, did you ever get that file downloaded?
Never.
Never.
Did you go?
Call me. I'll work it out.
Well, speaking of Larry, could we suggest to him that he shift his camera angle a little bit? Your up nose is not the best vision. Thank you.
I can do it with the cord.
I got a question for Bob Stanton. I've been
Yo.
telling everybody periodically that you went through jump school on leave. You took leave, and during that period is when you went through jump school. Is that true?
No, I left being a TAC officer and went to jump school and ranger school,
Oh, okay.
and then Vietnam.
Well, my story sounds better.
My mentally left, I tell you that.
I was at a little pre-meeting. I mentioned that I had a couple of souvenirs from our experiences, and the first one was I still have the padlock that I had when I went through basic training, and I can still remember the combination, so that still works. And then when I was a training officer, I put together an OCS helmet, and I've had that on my wall periodically. It's getting pretty beat up, and the leather in there is falling apart, but it brings back good memories and a couple that weren't so good, but it's amazing. And my wife says I'm a pack rat, but I deny it.
Bravo.
You're really a hoarder?
Yeah.
What's your career been since you left the military?
Well, when I came out to Fort Lewis as a training officer, and actually 3 of us did, because they opened up 3 brigades and they needed assistant S2s, but the brigade commander, who was an infantry, and said that he wouldn't waste my time there and send me down to a battalion whose commander was also infantry. And so he put me in a company, his best company. He said, your first tour will decide whether you want to make it a career. And it turns out that we were the only 3 that had infantry backgrounds. The brigade commander, battalion commander, and me. Everybody else was artillery and armor coming back from Europe as they opened up the training facility. So I was here, and then I was out, then I was in the reserve unit for 5 years in Portland, a civil affairs unit, which was really, I thought, a really great unit. And then we got notified we were going to get activated, and the command group spent all weekend drill coming up with reasons why we couldn't be. And so I got a little disgusted and went into the IRR. And then I got a call from them, and I got called back to active duty. So I was going to Vietnam, and supposedly, and went through all the orientation and qualified and POR, and then that's when Nixon said no more to Vietnam. So they diverted me to Korea, to the second ID up there on the DMZ. So I spent 1 year there, and then was fortunate to go to SHAPE headquarters, and spent 3 years in Belgium, and then went to career course and on to Oakland Army Base. And that was our part of it was shut down, and went to the special program advising their Army ARCOM in Pittsburgh, which was really good. On that tour I had in the reserves, really treated me well, because I realized that everybody has a different bureaucracy and that works a little different. And so I've had a great 2 years there, and then went to Munich, Germany with the 66th MI group for 4 years, which was my best assignment and had the best commanding officer and was doing real world missions. And from there, I got selected and went to Hawaii for a day command there for 2 years. And then I went back to European Command Headquarters. And then got the War College in 91 and on to Armed Forces Radiobiology Research Institute was my last assignment. And then came back and became the business manager for the Washington State Gambling Commission.
Wow.
For just at the time when the Indians were coming up with all their casinos and so forth. Really, really interesting and very stressful. And every tribe had their own bureaucracy and they united against the state, but they fought amongst themselves. So it was a fun time. And then I retired and have just been doing volunteer work a lot since then. And survived my cancer and then I 3 years later had a quadruple bypass, and so now I'm just hobbling around.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I would just wondered if Doug had a Ziva in his NCIS team.
Had a what?
A Ziva, a female agent.
No, unfortunately not.
No, you didn't? Well,
no.
All right. And I had when that unit first came out, actually when I was at SHAPE, I got tasked to go up to Brussels and talk to this 3-star general who had a problem with, supposedly a problem with his flowers. And it was a NATO Integrated Communication System Command, NICS. And so I went up and talked to him and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, your warrant officer said that you wanted to have the soil samples taken, all this." And he said, "That sounds like him. All I said is I wonder why that flower died." But anyhow, I got a hat made that said NICS and I was wearing it in at some of the local taverns and they all thought it was NCIS. And they were over there, "There's an agent in here, you know." So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Good, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So Larry, what'd you do after the tour?
I had a long and variegated career. Went to work for the city of San Diego as an operations analyst and overhauled the police department. Then became city councilman, state assemblyman, state senator.
Oh.
Finally became a judge and retired as a superior court judge.
Oh.
Now I'm partner in a major law firm here in California.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mentioned one other classmate, Jack Salter, longtime friend. He passed away a couple of years ago. He had a long, successful career in pharmaceutical device production.
Won't stay away from the camera.
We've got a couple of people here who've got books out. Larry's one of them. Terry Schellenberger has got another one, which is right on his OCS and post-OCS experiences that you'll find interesting. Jim McElroy has a book called Bait on Cam Duck. And I have a series on the Vietnam War that I edited. So if anybody else got anything up there, let me know and I'll put it up here. That's on the.
I'm not asking anybody that hasn't spoken yet to give us.
Okay. Send me a link to where I can get it or where people can get it, and I'll put it up there.
Okay.
Steve, how about calling on anybody that hasn't spoken yet and asking their background?
What was that, Larry?
Call on anybody that hasn't spoken yet and ask them about their background.
Right.
Bob
Yeah.
Stanton,
You're saying Bob.
Go.
let's hear what you've been up to.
Okay, after graduation, I went to 54th Company as a TAC officer, then jump school and ranger school. And I was assigned to the first cav, but when I got there, they had some problems up in I Corps. So they took 18 officers and put us in the 196th Light Infantry Brigade, OPCON to the Marines, which really was good. We just had rear area surveillance and lived right there on China Beach. And then I went, when they formed the Americal Division, they included 196 and 198 and whatever other units, and went in for an interview to the chief of staff and for general's aide, but all the ring knockers were there. Out of 5, I was the only one that had been in the service for a while. Only one that been in Vietnam at all. But I didn't make it, so they sent me to MACV as an advisor down the Delta. Then I went to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, as a signal corps, and I was course chief for the radio operators course and a telephone wire course, wireman I think they called them.
Close it out.
And I was company commander of one of the training units. Then I went back to the 101st, back in the I Corps, and that was quite an experience too. Then I got out after 6 years and went to Florida. We looked at the states we'd never lived in, and the warmest state was Florida, so we went to Orlando because they had an engineering school there, as was my beginning in the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. But I tried to get in a job for the summer with big companies, but nobody was hiring. But one night we saw the lights where they're building that Disney place. So I went to work for Walt Disney World in security as they were building it. Then that was quite interesting. I was there for 12 years, and I tell you, the people, you just tremendous folks, very talented, very energetic and imaginative. But then I got a job offer from the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. And so I moved to Long Beach, and I was there for 27 years before I retired. So we retain our house in Long Beach. All the girls and their families all still live in Long Beach. But we had bought a cabin up in the hills by Mount Rushmore. And that's where I am now. Linda's where it's warm. She comes back in April or May or June. And snow on the ground, but you can see the faces. Then I reconnected with a lot of high school friends, and we get together at least once a month, 30 or 40 classmates. And about 25 miles to go into town, which is called Rapid City. And that's where I was born and raised anyway. And enjoying life. Of course, putting on about 70 pounds since OCS. That's about it for me.
Fabulous.
Who is iPad down there?
That Harold Vale.
Harold Vale. Harold.
Yep.
Harold, my good friend. You gave me housing in Way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you remember that, huh?
I sure do. One of
bet you do.
One of the great events of my life. Harold was flying out of there. I was bringing the last of the underwear and extra typewriters north from Ankei, and needed 12 more miles to go. And I was there with Harold. Harold was out flying most of the time because his roommate was gone for R&R, so he had a bed there, so I didn't have to go to Fubai. And sure enough, that offensive hit while I was visiting Harold.
Yeah.
I was there for
I need to-
21 days at the MAGV
If I-
compound.
Yeah.
This
Is
way was
your
just a
address on
pile
that
of
li-
rubble.
Is your address on that list?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, I'm going to send you a couple pictures, okay?
Okay, that'd be great.
That
Are you
was,
still flying?
no, I quit flying a long time ago. No, the only flying I do is on a motorcycle.
No. I do mine on bicycles.
Yeah, well, I do that too.
You gotta come to Sturgis.
I went to
You're-
Sturgis once, and that's not my thing. Because Sturgis,
Yeah, they had,
it's a little rambunctious there, so. I mean, you talk about crowded, it's crowded, so I did it one time just to say I did it, and that's it.
yeah, they had 250,000 people there, bikers,
I know.
one year.
Yep, it's unbelievable. It's so funny because that's the one place the most motorcycles are stolen is in Sturgis. Because people ride their bikes up there and people know it and they all rip them off. So, but anyways, I'm not a big group rider. I ride by myself most of the time.
We need to come to Myrtle Beach. We have rallies down here, you know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know about that one too. Yeah, that's kind of like the Southern Sturgis type thing.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
What was your career after the military?
Well, immediately after I got out of the service, I was into automotive sales, and I had my own. I had a used car lot, and I ran it for about maybe 10, 15 years, something like that. And I got remarried, and when I did, we decided we were going to move. So we moved, and I ended up in Utah, and I was a purchasing agent for Brigham Young University for 30 some years. So that was my main things. In other words, I did a lot of little stuff beside, I got to tell you, whatever. When you bounce around a lot. But I pretty much enjoyed everything. I enjoyed the service. I enjoyed while I was in there. And I got into the RIF program, the reduction in force. So I gave them 15 years of service and didn't feel like hanging around the last slide after that. But for me, see, I'm trying to think of anything else that I stayed busy in. When I was with the used cars, what I did was I did mostly restored cars. In other words, I did a lot of 50s and that kind of thing. I sold a whole bunch of those. Nowadays, they're about 10 times the cost that I sold for at the time. But anyway, I enjoyed doing it. And I can't think of it much more other than the fact that I've just been busy all my life and still there, still getting around, still doing a lot of my stuff. And I'm still restoring old cars. So I've still got a 53 Chevy that I have that I'm almost done with.
Where do you guys live?
You what now?
Where do you live?
Where do I live?
Where do you live?
Orem.
Yeah, we're in Orem, Utah, right?
Orem, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That makes us neighbors almost, Harold.
So I got the list. I've got to look. I saw your name in there. And
Yeah, well, you should have. It's right next to yours.
yeah, well, I know that. I mean, I was going through trying to remember. Well, Van Zandt, he got killed. He was.
Yeah.
He was. And I can't remember the fourth guy that was with us. in the room. Who was the fourth one?
Yeah, me either.
I can't think of it, but I think we're all alphabetical when we were there. So,
It was not a perfect alphabetical listing, no. Platoons were not totally alphabetized.
right. Yeah, but it looks like you like to do a lot of reading. But you got a ladder to get to it. I like to read, but
That's
I
only
like,
half of it.
huh? That's only half of it? Yeah. Oh, geez. So you have some behind the others.
I thought I built the bookshelves the first time around. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
I had to build a
Yeah.
second row. You could have stepped on growing.
Amazing.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
what did you do after Holabird?
Well, anybody recognize this lady?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's a picture of my last tour duty of 31. I kind of stayed in for 31 years. And I was in the military intelligence. I was on a list of people who went to, like Tommaso, went to Germany instead of Vietnam. You know, I think they cut off the bottom list or something. They sent 4 guys to Germany. The rest of you, everybody else went to Vietnam. But of course, they caught up with me later. And I was over there with the 525 with John Black, I think, who's in the 1st platoon. I remember he was in MI business, stayed around. Anyhow, I did a lot of, I was, you know, into clandestine, tactical, strategic. I did a tour with, I did foreign area officer program in the Middle East studies, Arabic trained speaker. Spent about 20 years in and out of the Middle East, Pentagon. And had a great time, a great tour, ups and downs like all life. But when I got out in, what was it, 93? No, 96. I went to work for a couple of defense contractors. One of them was Vanel Corporation in Saudi Arabia, using my background in the Arab world. And then I went to work for an outfit called MPRI, which is another outfit that run by Carl Vono, former chief of staff of the Army. And we went to Europe. I went to Bosnia to meet all those former communist NATO compatible people. I see it didn't work too well in certain places like well, even Bosnia. I was there for 6 years, but we also sent guys over to the Ukraine. I'll never forget. We sent some guys to the Ukraine. The Air Force was still communist, and they sent our Air Force guys back. But the Army guys stayed. They were favoring to go to Paris, Berlin, London. And I see that little escapade is still ongoing. We'll see what happens. But I had a great time. I was showing you that book. When I went to War College, they, I don't know how they did this. They sent me to Harvard instead. I was up there with about 15 military guys. And Carl Vono, who at the time was the chief of staff, and he sat us down before we went up there. He said, "Okay, guys, I want you to go up here to Harvard and show them what a military guy's all about. And I want you to make a significant contribution to the literature." So we went up there, and I was up there with a really smart guy who was in my little study group. His name was Skip Basovich, a brilliant, absolutely brilliant military historian who's famous in Washington and Boston. Anyhow, he basically wrote, we provided input to a book called American Military Policy Small Wars, the Case of El Salvador. And anyhow, when this thing got published, and we did it like 6 months, the damn chief of staff of the Army came up raising hell, saying, "That's the worst thing, you guys," because we were very critical of our activities in anywhere for that matter. No, in small wars in El Salvador, of course, in the Middle East and a couple hundred other places. But anyhow, it was a great tour. Anyhow, I ended up working for that guy, Carl Vono. Wasn't too bad. So recently I retired, I guess, 2010. I went to Afghanistan, one last trip. Didn't get it out of my system. Went over there working for MPRI, trying to make the Afghan intelligence and police community NATO compatible. And you can see that effort was not too good either. And then I came back most recently in 2017. I was a Appalachian Trail through hiker. I started in Georgia and went to Maine and I always claim I can still do that simply because I was in the Army. You know, you look around, the guys our age, most of them are, in a wheelchair or on a cane, but I always claim the Army kept me in shape, kept me going. So, but I see that's not the case. All of you guys must have been our training and our willpower that kept us going. And it's great to see all of you guys. You feel like you're the only old guy around anymore, but I can see right now a lot of us made it and continue to stomp around. And that's it. That's about all I've been doing. I'm retired, taking care of grandkids, and I have to go get one in about a half hour, but it's been great being with you.
Good job.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. But I remember, what I remember most about the platoon was, you remember the bayonet list?
Yeah.
You remember those things, right?
Backstabbers.
Yeah. I remember in the 5th platoon, I may have made 16th once. And you think back to those days. Now I got a grandson in the Citadel, and I told him about the bayonet list. I said, it counts. It really counts when your peers assess your abilities. So make sure you understand that you're not just flailing around down there, that you're taking care of your peers. And which brings me to the point, and I don't know where he is, but Herb Williams, you all remember Herb Williams.
Herbie.
Yeah, Herb was my roommate. Now that was pretty tough sledding there, trying to keep up with Herb. He was obsessed, of course, with waxing that floor. And I mean, it shined like nothing I've ever seen before. And of course, he had a technique which I had to replicate.
All right.
Herb, I ran into Herb. He stayed in the Army too, and he was also a full colonel. And he went into the JAG Corps. I don't know if he's on here or not, but that is one smart cookie with a lot of willpower and energy. You could tell he was going someplace. But I was thinking about Herb when we were starting out. I thought maybe we ought to call Herb. Maybe he could get this organized. But I don't know.
Why don't you do that?
Sure, he's retired, making a lot of money someplace.
He's a lawyer in Washington.
Of course.
And he's on the list there.
Yeah.
I think the number is that you can reach him on.
Yeah.
Why don't you just mute your microphone and give him a call and say, why aren't you up here?
Yeah, I do that, but I've got to break out here pretty soon and go off to, and it's too much fun watching your old faces right now. But Herb, I met him in the Pentagon one time, and he was full colonel. I said, I just said, there was no doubt about that. I can't believe you're not running the JAG Corps with 2 stars or something, which he may have done. I don't know.
No, I think he stopped at the bird.
Okay.
Somebody's told me that he had got a star, but as far as I can tell, it's not the case.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody made general from our class today.
Not that I know about. I had a couple of full birds, but no stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, funny about that, one time when we were doing this book and everybody in the Pentagon just raised hell because it was such a, it was sacrosanct not to criticize the Army when you're in uniform. And all of us were on a list to go command brigades at the time. And even I was below the zone to colonel. So there were 5 of us on this little committee. And I note that every one of us went to a different assignment. This guy, Skip Basovich, was brilliant. He was like the speechwriter for the Supreme Allied Commander Europe. And he was going to a regimental brigade. He was a cab guy, and he went off to, I don't know, they sent me back to Beirut, Lebanon to be blown up by Syrians. And I don't know where, but we didn't make general, that was for sure.
Now, was it at the Kennedy School or was it another?
Yeah, I
one?
was at the Kennedy School. Yeah.
Basovich went off.
It's a great place, by the way, in deference to whether you're conservative or whatever, but it's a wonderful school. It was great going to school, with a school bag and when you're in the Army, you just go up there. And, it's a great place to goof off.
Hey, guys, got to sign off here. Good seeing all of you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care, yes.
Right.
So Steve, I got a couple questions for you.
Ask.
I noticed on that list that you set out yesterday or the day before, Corky's left off the list.
No, he's there.
I didn't see him there. And I've been looking for the last 10 minutes and I don't see it on there. So I wonder if he slipped off. But another question was, who was our company commander?
Bennett,
Julie was a West Pointer. I remember he got down and that time that he said,
Sullivan's on line 46.
Dingwall.
Dingwall was the company commander. Yeah.
no, the one before him.
That would be Taylor. He was a ring knocker.
Yeah. He's on here?
Yeah, he's on there at number 11. But Sullivan's at number, what did I just say?
Oh, okay.
46.
Yeah.
This is by platoon, alphabetically by platoon.
Which one of those commanders told us he was going to ruin us for going branch transferring? Remember, one guy said he'd kill us or ruin us. We'd never get out of OCS if we branch transferred. I forget which one it was.
Well, Dingwall was a yo-yo.
Yeah. Well, I think I remember when Taylor was there and when Utter got invited to be the best man at Johnson's daughter's wedding. And he asked to go and they turned him down. And so he went back and asked a second time or third time. And then President Johnson called the commander at Fort Benning and wanted to know why he couldn't get Utter up there to be a best man. And Taylor got us out and had this formation and said, if you have things you need to let us know, because Utter never told him what the wedding was. He just said he was going to be the best one, invited to be the best man to a fraternity brother. And and I chuckled about that for so many times. It was really a way to kind of break the other side. He kind of got over on them.
Yeah.
But Johnson called the 2-star down there and wanted to know what the hell was going on. And they did let him go, but they compromised. He had to wear his OCS uniform flying there. But once he was there, he could put on the tails and the top hat. And he was talking to the Secretary of Defense and all this stuff at the reception. And then when he came back, then it was a real shock, that when we got word that, he was doing the John Wayne thing and said, "Follow me," and it was shot, killed then. But many a time I've chuckled about that, having that Taylor out there trying to tell us, don't hold things back, give them the whole story and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. That Utter was quite a character.
He was.
He was
from Chicago,
Right.
yeah.
Vivid to remember him.
And I, based upon what Stephen had asked, I was able to see Larry Crosby a few days ago. I went down to 60 some miles to a little town and out of the town and up a narrow road and with gate on it. And I couldn't get in, and the phone didn't work to call in, and pretty soon a car right behind me, and it was him. And he came up to the window, and he recognized me and I recognized him, from AIT and OCS. And so we went down and talked for about an hour and a half, and I was hoping he would be on here. He was a little little disgusted with the military. He said when he got out, he spent his last 6 months, I think, as a TAC officer there, but he didn't agree with what was going on in Vietnam at some level. And I don't know what level. We didn't get into that, but he just didn't feel comfortable staying in, and so he got out and worked 30 years at Weyerhaeuser, and now he's retired and involved in all kinds of local politics in small towns that you can get involved in. And his wife was a nurse at Fort Benning. That's where they met. And so I think I talked to him, and then I left him my roster, and he didn't want to get involved or make any commitments because he was so tied up. And I said, there's no commitments. And he was smiling when we left, and I think we both felt about 10 years younger from just talking to each other and going over some of that. I think some of them just getting it out of his system a little bit, talking about help too. But he was the one who took a lot of flack from that goofy sergeant we had in AIT that had come back from Vietnam, and I think he was actually a little bit crazy. But so I shook his hand and I said, I thank you for taking all that crap. And he just smiled and he said, somebody had to do it. So hopefully he'll get involved in a little of this stuff too.
Well, I talked to him for a little
Steve,
bit.
how about Schellenberger?
Schellenberger, I'm surprised he isn't here. He told me he wrote the book. I ordered it from Amazon and read it. It was quite a good book. It was I think you'll all find it interesting if you get it. But he talks about his OCS experience, but then he talks about after OCS, how he was just trying to figure out after the Army, trying to figure out what he was going to do. And he went through all of these permutations and combinations. He was going to do this, but it didn't work out that way. So he went to work in a bank. And when he's working in the bank, the FBI called him up and said, we want you to come join us. He quit the bank to go to the FBI training, and when they had a freeze on it just in that moment. He'd already quit the bank. He wasn't in the FBI. So he went back to school. And while he was in school, in getting involved in things he liked to be doing, the FBI said, okay, where the freeze is off, come back. And they gave him, told him 5 o'clock, you got to let us know. He talked it over with his faculty advisor and decided he wasn't going to go to the FBI. He stayed at the school, did things there for a long time, was a teacher, basically. And it's an interesting story on how he dealt with things that we all dealt with.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
Tom was my roommate in OCS during the biggest part of it. Real interesting guy to be in a room with. He plans all kinds of stuff and then he goes to sleep and leaves me to settle up the money. It was fun. Tom died in Vietnam before I got there because I went to commo school. And so I had some time and I was going across country because I had some time off before I went to Vietnam, and went and visited his parents in Chicago, or just outside of Chicago. And his mom was so excited to see me. I was his birthday gift from Tom to her. It was real emotional. I wouldn't care to do that anymore in my life, to deal with that kind of situation. And then my second roommate was Mel Tassie, and Mel Tassie got killed in Vietnam also. So both my roommates went down. Kind of leaves an ugly feeling in you, and I was still not in Vietnam. So the way we went. And Tom's story of going to that wedding of Johnson's daughter, man, you guys haven't heard half the stories. This guy really had a good time. I'm surprised he could still breathe and talk when he got back. He was a character. There's no doubt that.
No doubt about him being a character.
Oh, you're right.
Wasn't he from Jersey or some New York or something? He had
Chicago, I think.
Huh?
Chicago area.
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Okay, yeah, Chicago. Yeah, that's right. He had a really sharp accent, I remember.
Yeah, good man.
Look, I was going to mention this when we all got back together again here later. But this is a simple matter to do. And we really should have done this before, but I wasn't into doing Zoom a couple of years back. We've lost a lot of people in the last 5 years. And my recommendation is that we do this again on August 23rd each year, at least for this year. And we'll just mark our graduation date by having another Zoom meeting. It won't be difficult for me to send an invitation out. But I also like to suggest that you might want to write up a bio and maybe pictures or whatnot, and I'll incorporate it back into that section for the platoons where you have your old ID card photo, and you can match that with something newer and a little description of what you've done. And having more time to work with it between now and August, I'll fix that file up and then figure out how to get it delivered to you.
What if we'd rather have our old picture in there still?
Well, you can keep your old picture there. I'll just put the other one next to it. The nice thing about electronic files is that it doesn't cost anything to maintain them, really.
Yeah. Steve, who hasn't talked yet?
I don't know.
Somebody.
Maybe I didn't say anything. All right. Okay. I went a year of training after OCS and then a year in Vietnam. I came back after my 2 years and 10 months in the service, got back to the United States in the summer of 1968, and it was not a nice place to be. On January 1st of 1969, I was in Hawaii with an airplane ticket to go back to Vietnam with no plan whatsoever as a civilian. I thought I was going to end up working for Rand Corporation, but when I got there, Control Data Corporation had me in the team house, and I found out that all these guys who had written me letters telling me that they had jobs for me were all shopping my resume around the Pentagon. And so I'm there waiting for a job, and I went over to the PX system and said, can I put boxes on the shelves or whatever the hell you guys do here? They took one look at my resume and said, we've got a job for you. So I became the chief of plans and programs for a $400 million retail operation in Vietnam. And I did that for 2 years until I phased out my job. I went back to graduate school, got an MBA, went to Singapore, Malaysia and Singapore, where I stayed for the next 6 years, came back to Houston in 1980, finally ready to settle in the United States and deal with people here. I worked for about 9 months for a big 8 accounting firm as a consultant. And then I fumbled into a computer leasing business. A company in Houston was selling off a product line, and I took it up. A friend of mine said that I was the Studebaker dealer of the computer industry. It was fun. It made me a lot of money because everybody else was selling IBM PCs, and they were selling it below cost because they were trying to get heavy turnover. I had this old stuff that I had planned to phase out. I didn't think it was going to last more than 6 months, so I priced everything accordingly. I had no competition, and it lasted for 10 years. It did really, really well. About the end of that 10-year period, well, just before the end of that period, they had a Vietnam veteran stand down in Houston. And for the first time, I got involved with my unit activities from Vietnam. And first time I got really involved in veterans events, about 1990, 1988. And I had a lot of time in my hands. My leasing business basically had me writing bills out once a month. And that was it. So I had a lot of time in my hands. I started getting into Vietnam history, unit history, begin with a broader history later. And I found it very enjoyable. I don't really have to worry about making money off of it. It's a good measure of whether anybody likes what you're doing. But I spent the last umpty years doing that. The books behind me are basically all about Vietnam. Couple of shelves over there, the white books there you see over that shoulder. Those are my books. A couple of shelves of them. Lately, 2 years ago when this COVID stuff came through, I asked my granddaughter what I would do for communications, and she said my great grandson is using Zoom. I figured if he could do it, I could handle it. So I got into it, and I do a lot of Zoom meetings. The OCS thing, I was in the process of doing a series of Zoom meetings, and I said, why don't I do it for OCS? 10 days after talking to Larry, I had most of that list complete. My experience was such where I knew how to find people. It all worked out well.
We appreciate it.
So,
yep.
Well,
I'm good.
I've enjoyed getting in touch with you guys. Enjoyed having you here. It's a lot of fun of some important moments of all of our lives that were formative. So I'm pleased to hear. Plus, I had all that OCS material sitting on my computer, so I sent that out, even if I couldn't unzip it. Larry couldn't either. So I'll work with them later. and I've done a couple of you guys have asked me, and I did it, one-on-one, and it wasn't that difficult to do, especially if you have your own grandson out there who can help you out with it. So that's where I came from.
Good job.
Yep. Well, good job, Steve.
Somebody's not.
No. Well, I suspect it's time for me to bring everybody back from the breakout rooms. So I will go ahead and do that.
Don't forget Dale.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, good to see you. Larry Sterling, long time. Witcher.
Yeah, it's good to be here with everybody. It's been nice to get caught up on things.
I remember you getting the first set of jump boots.
Yep.
We were all jealous. From the old basic training boots, and you had jump boots.
Yeah, that was a big experience going from college life to basic training and then on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
What was the basic training company that the bills came from? Remember the name of it?
We were at
Where it was?
Fort Gordon, Georgia, right?
Yeah, was that Echo 15-1? Maybe
That
not.
was an E41.
E4?
E41 was where I was.
So
I was in Echo 15-1. I don't know who was with me there. It was a couple of guys.
Yeah,
I
that was
remember
very
Bob Ross, who I joined the Army,
Yeah.
who I was drafted with. And Bob, of course, was killed in '68 in Tet. Oh, everybody's back.
No, not yet. There's still quite a few people out there.
Someone's at the end of the latrine.
Oh, I was very fortunate that I had a platoon sergeant in basic training, Sergeant Barker, who I'll always remember, to come back from Vietnam and had a recovering from a grenade that had gone off and whatever. But he was the only one that little first sergeant kind of paid any deference to. He ruled over those other drill sergeants like crazy. And we didn't have a full platoon. And then one night they brought him in and they were from Puerto Rico. And the next morning, Santiago, who was sort of the leader, said, "They don't speak English. They don't speak English." And so we had a little bit of problem. Well, it turned out the next night, Sergeant Barker had CQ, and after taps, everything was quiet in the whole company. And he called Santiago out. And it was just really quiet. And then I could hear this, "Don't hit me, drill sergeant. Don't hit me, drill sergeant." And pow, pow. The next morning, they all spoke English. That was really interesting. It was, but he took, the platoon leader and the platoon, when we could finally go down, or the squad leaders, when we could finally go down and have a beer, and he was telling us things that we should be aware of and what we should do.
Okay.
And how, there'll be somebody up there in a helicopter telling you to move faster, but he said, you move what the ground gives you. You don't let them tell you what to do up there, because there's another helicopter above that one telling him to get you to move or do these things. And it was, of course, he didn't know where we were all going, the OCS or anything. And only some of us did out of that platoon, not all of us. But it was really, really eye-opening, changed my whole look on life. That's for sure.
That's absolutely the case.
And I see Nick Inslee there. He was, I don't see that swoosh, that Nike swoosh on your shirt.
Somewhere in here.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Good, good.
Good to see you, man.
The last time I saw you was Herb was there too, I think. Was it? Or Harold. Harold and you and I had gotten together, the three from Oregon.
Right, right. Yeah, that was, I think we had a dinner once just before you decided to re-up.
Yeah.
Back in.
Yeah, and I think Harold was going to go in his little Volkswagen and tour around the country.
Exactly, yeah. Somewhere in California now, I think.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm up in Olympia, Washington.
Okay.
Or out of Olympia, Lacey, actually.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I was looking at this roster and looks like Dalrymple is up here in Olympia. I'll have to see if I can track him down. I was hoping he might be in the meeting today.
Doesn't look like he showed up though, huh?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Dave, wife. Went to my class and then I went for a walk. Now I'm gonna run get you. We're gonna run to Blood World.
I'm on Zoom.
Oh, you are sorry.
That's all right. Everybody laughing. So
First platoon seems to be having fun. I don't know what I'm going to do getting them back. Everybody else is cleaned out of the room, and we even got Dale back again.
Good.
Yeah, how about that? Miracles.
Tim? are you
Yeah.
there? What's going
Yep.
on? What's going on in the first platoon room that keeps them from coming back here?
But I just made a mistake in joining the first platoon room, but they said I went from the fourth. I joined the first. I think they maybe don't know how to get back over. To me, it was confusing too, but
Why don't you go back there again to the first, tell them to come back, and if they can't do it, I'll just close the room down.
well, okay. Hang on.
So
Because
pass the message on.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still short about 10 people are over in that other room.
I'll talk to them.
Okay. John, what are you doing over there? You're trying to do the virtual background, I guess. Now, Bob's got a virtual background, and both Bob Latta and Bob Sherwood over there. If your computer is fast enough, you can do a virtual background without a green screen. If your computer's a little bit slow, you get this ghost image like John Jenkins is fighting with right now.
I was wiping the screen off.
No, but your background is not quite into focus. So
we're back,
okay,
Steve.
You're all back. I'm going to close down all the breakout rooms then. There's still a couple of people over there.
They should be coming.
They should be coming.
Yeah.
Are they in the middle of the discussion that I don't want to disturb, or what?
I don't know. I disturbed it. So I didn't ask.
Well, there's only 3 people left there. So I'll just go ahead and close the room down. They're all gone except Ed Flat. He's gone too. Okay, they're all back. Everybody's back. Nope, Fleck is at the help desk.
He commanded some Pacific.
He didn't have a leave room button at the right hand bottom.
There, no, not quite. Okay, I'll just close the room. No, he's gone. He should be back here. All right, everybody is out of the rooms. All right. John, did you have any success in recording?
Well, I hit the record button and it looked like it was recording.
Okay, well,
you're gonna have to tell me.
yeah. At the end, when everything shuts down, it'll send you a message to say it's creating a file. It's working on a file. And I'll tell if you get that message, I'll tell you where it is, and then you can send it on to me. I didn't organize properly to get somebody in each of the other rooms, so I don't know if anything is being recorded. But your room seemed to be the most populated, so that's pretty good.
Got rid of that because I'm doing it on my computer.
He had some great narratives on what people have been doing in the last 50 years. That's really interesting.
It has been a little while.
I don't know who those guys were because I didn't recognize any of it from the books, but
right,
we had our names there.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah, I noticed pretty heavy down there towards the bottom end of the alphabet.
Well, yeah, I had a lot of the names from our little effort in 2001. Plus, I have other ways of finding you, sneaky little things. Once upon a time, the Army in all its wisdom decided that let's see, where is it? They decided that they wanted to make what they call the stud book. So they published this thing and sold it for $6.25 or something. And as you see, here's everybody's name, social security number, and date of birth. Colin Powell is there. Henry Shelton is there. Everybody's there. All the regular Army officers, and a couple of you made the list as well when you went over to regular Army. So with the social security number, you can find anybody.
Yeah.
And the Army, however, I was involved in suing the Army at one point because I found a file that they had in the bowels of one of the contractors for the Department of Defense with 600,000 image files of award orders from Vietnam. And I wanted that file, and I offered to pay the cost of copying it and shipping it to me. And I made the mistake of just saying, okay, when they said, we better check with somebody for permission. Because that was the downfall. When they check with somebody, they say, hell no, it's got social security numbers on it.
Yeah.
And if you give us $1 million, we'll edit out the social security numbers. Right. Yeah, like that's going to happen. So, but they basically, in 1968, after 30 some years, they finally got around to using social security numbers. And then 20 years later, they realized they'd made a mistake and they classified everything that they've ever done.
Yeah.
And there's no real good solution for it. At one point, I was planning on publishing that list I showed you and just telling everybody that they should change their social security numbers because it's all been compromised. But at that time, they had a changeover in the Secretary of Defense's office. And I figured Rumsfeld didn't need me to bother him at the time. He had his hands full. So I stopped that. But it really is unfortunate because it's today, I can do history on Vietnam because people have got pieces of paper under their bed and they've all sent copies to me. And I've got filing cabinets over here full of paperwork. But today, anybody who's doing unit history doesn't have that luxury. Everything is electronic. Hell, the people who got the best files on the history are the lawyers in the Army. So that's a bit of a problem. Anyway.
Well, I'm in about 12 books if you want to read any of my stuff.
Who are we talking? Who's here?
That was Dale Dickey.
Dale, yeah. Well, you tell me about it. Are they your books?
No, different people have written. I'm in Hackworth's books. I'm in a new book, Rangers in Vietnam. I'm in Tango 1-1. I'm in Last Light with the Boys, and I forget all the books.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you were in About Face, because Hackworth and I, though he doesn't pay much, and he didn't pay any attention to me. We don't get along together.
Well, Hackworth and I didn't get along. That's why I'm in his books. He's not very generous with me. We did get along later after he got out and I got out.
Anyway, one of the things we discussed in the other meeting, which you were not all there, is I'm offering to on August 23rd of this year, I'm offering to do a Zoom meeting again with the same list of people, and we'll repeat it. It's not going to be that much of a difficulty to do that. we might come up with some better ideas on organizing it and some more experience on how it works. In the meantime, let me ask you all to send anything you have, like write up a bio about your history. Send me, I think it was Bob who said had a bunch of pictures. Somebody had a bunch of pictures. Send them, scan them, and send them, and I'll put them in that file that I have. I'll resend that file, and I'll try to figure out a way to resend it so it's more accessible to all.
Yeah, I've got a number of pictures from OCS. I think I saw that you were talking about an Instamatic. I think that's what I had too. And I've located about 15 of them, but someplace I know I've got 40 or 50 of them. So I'll try to find them before August and get them to you, Steve.
And give me some captions to go along with it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I think the best picture I have is the one of Dale Dickey sitting on the ruins of his room.
Oh.
With a disgusted picture, disgusted feeling on his face.
Well, it happened more than once.
I would caption that. This is the moment that Dale decided he wanted to go airborne ranger so he could wreak havoc on everybody.
Well, I became a TAC officer, so I sure hell paid back.
Right.
So wasn't it Dale? Wasn't it you and Henry Copeland that found the pig?
Yep. Put it in the old man's office.
I think that's probably one of the best stories.
You know, when I graduated, I still owed the company 26 weeks of restriction.
One of the pictures.
When you guys turned blue, I still had to wear a black helmet for like 2 weeks.
One of the pictures that I have, I know that Henry's in it, and you might be too, is of the pig. Henry and the pig's got him on a leash. So yep. I'll see if I can find that.
We greased that sucker up with Missoula oil.
Was that Captain Taylor or Dingwall?
Dingwall.
Yeah.
We put it in his bathroom when he kept his coffee cup in there. He went in the morning to open the door and the damn pig started going crazy.
He wanted a garbage disposal. He said he picked Mel first, but Mel bowed out. So that's where the pig came from.
I don't remember where it came from. I just remember me getting restriction for it.
Well, I remember part of it. I think that some of the wives, was Copeland married?
Not then, nope.
Okay, well, some of the wives went over, I'm almost sure that they got it in Alabama.
Yep.
And brought it back. Sorry, Steve. I got carried away.
Oh, by all means, keep it up. Some of the stories you really have to write the individual stories down.
Steve, what was the name of the senior TAC?
Adams.
Okay.
John C. Adams.
Adams called me to his office early one morning. Said, I got a problem. Said Dingwall and Hollifeld were apprehended by the MPs at the Lawson Field Officers Club. MPs apparently had an edict you couldn't park in the grass. So the MPs tried to get them to move, and they started giving the MPs a ration of crap. Dangerous thing. So the MPs wrote him up. So Adams calls him to his office. Said, I need some help. He said, Captain Dingwall and Lieutenant Hollifeld got in a tussle with the MPs, and their name is going to be sent to the chief of staff. Can you do anything about it? So I run over to the provost marshal's office. Duty officer, a guy by the name of Captain Clemens. who was the former commander of the 54th Company. He knew me. He said, okay. He says, they really gave these MPs a ration of crap. Let me talk to them. So they okayed. They said, forget it. I run back to Adams and I tell him everything's okay. He said, well, good. I'll be glad to tell the captain. I said, no, here's what you need to tell the captain. I am on restriction to my wall locker for something I didn't do. Get the picture, Lieutenant? I was off restriction. But Dingwall at Hollifeld, I remember that.
Hollifeld used to pick on me all the time.
There's the pig.
There it is.
There
That's the picture I was talking about.
Yeah.
you go. Recognize yourselves? Oh.
Speaking of Henry, at the when we were marching over to graduate, remember how when you were giving marching commands, you had to enunciate the words and you couldn't do the NCO stuff. I remember that Copeland broke out in a bunch of his old cadence calls. I do remember that and how hilarious it was.
He was quite the character. I talked to him about 2 years ago. He's in Texas somewhere.
Who, Copeland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him. He's got a big Arabian horse farm between here and somewhere between here and Dallas, between Houston and Dallas. And he has boarding for horses. He has horses to be studs, training, all kinds of things about horses.
Are you green onions or do you need them all?
Okay.
No.
His father was the warden in Troy, Alabama at the prison.
Maybe that's where the pig came from.
I don't know about that, but I went home with him one time and all the inmates kept asking, Mr. Cope, how you doing, buddy?
Gentlemen, I have to leave. I hope to see you August 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Steve, it's been great. Thank you so much for all of your effort. It's been enjoyable very much.
I've got to kick off too, everybody. So thanks, Steve. Yeah, and August 23rd is good for me. It's great.
Anybody who hasn't downloaded that file should contact me after this is over and let me walk you through it.
I endorse that. Yeah, you absolutely have to download
I'm
it.
still hung up on it.
Yeah, you're gonna need a week to help me.
Yeah.
I'll see you on August 23rd as well.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Right, Steve. We'll see you
Good
August
talk with all you
23rd.
guys. Take care.
Bill Witcher, say hi to Mary.
I'm going to, guys.
Gotta go.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, Steve. Bye.
Great job, Steve. Appreciate you doing this.
Steve, I'll call you on the phone here in a couple days. Get lined out.
I've got to go too. My diuretic is kicking in. Nice seeing you guys again.
Dale
I'll
Dickey.
be there on the 23rd.
I'll be giving you a call, Dale Dickey.
Will do.
I got your
My
number.
phone number's on that list. Give me
I
a
see
call anytime.
Next day or so.
Okay,
One of our
good.
classmates, Paul Kerrigan. I was talking to Paul. Paul's got Parkinson's. He got it from Agent Orange. He's living in Florida. I'm going to fly over to see him in July.
Whereabouts in Florida?
It seems like it's near Pompano Beach or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I think I fly
Pompano.
in to Fort Lauderdale, but I'm not that far away. But Paul's a great guy. What had happened on a barbecue that they had over in Vietnam, they cut the barrels in half, and it was condensation from Agent Orange in there.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So he's not doing very well. But I told him I'd come over in July and visit him.
Super dose, huh?
Yeah, fine person, Paul. Introduce him to his wife. She's an Army nurse. Last time I saw Paul, we were riding down the streets of Saigon. with my dog Julius, his wife, and Paul. War going on around us. Sort of, just a tale.
So I'm going to leave you guys, and I'll see you on August 23rd.
Okay, me too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Far off
Steve.
are we on time, Tim?
Yeah.
What's the difference in time zone?
It's about 2100 right now, 2058.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not my bedtime yet, but close. See you guys on the 23rd.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Tim.
Thanks, Steve, for doing this. Appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun to do it. And I wish we had got more people here and found a way to be a little bit more organized. I hope you guys who went off in the platoon sessions had a good time in doing that. Any suggestions you have on how we can deal with what I would expect to be an even larger number of people in August, then that I'm open to the suggestions. Right now I think the platoon is the best way to do it. But I need to organize it so that there's recording going on in those sessions so that we can each see what's going on in the other platoons afterward. Also, I'm taking still shots of some of the screens here because when I record it, your names disappear. And as much as I hope that my memory is good, it's not going to be able to be good enough to put names without faces without names together when this is all done. So I'll have the screenshots mixed in with the video that I send you.
How many did we have on the call today?
Yeah, but I think we up to about 33. And
So that's, how many did we say were alive that you know?
I had 79 or 80 that we had email addresses for.
Yeah.
So there were 76 classmates and 3 cadre. And none of the cadre showed up. I was surprised because Kennedy was very interested. So
You were showing 53 as being deceased on your list there. So that's a significant number.
yeah,
Yeah. And most of the cadre, I think 9 of the cadre were deceased now too. So that's,
yeah, all the cadre
numbers are getting sparse.
They are. That's why it's kind of important that this happen on a more recurring basis. I don't have a lot of faith that any of the missing people who have not said, well, I'm not really interested, but people like Holman and Arnold that I haven't been able to find, I don't think they're here. The last 2 were Rob and forget who the other one was.
You did say Faust was one of them.
Faust was up in Alaska.
Oh, you found him, but he doesn't respond or something.
There's no, it doesn't look like he's got a listed phone number. And I actually try to get somebody up in Alaska to go knock on his door. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes these guys will help out and look for somebody because somebody found them. So I had a guy in Anchorage who was going there, who said he would go over there and try to check it out, but I never heard back from him. So I don't think he did.
Yeah, Steve, I checked on Lee Andre. You had the address,
right?
And actually it's Tacoma. He lives on Lake Steilacoom, but half of the lake, one side of it is Lakewood, and the other half is, other side is Tacoma. He's on the Tacoma side, so his address is the same, 9831 Lake Steilacoom Drive Southwest, but it's in Tacoma. He wasn't there. He's the owner of the house, didn't know anything about him. He gave me the name of the prior owner, and I called them, and they didn't know anything about him. So I think it goes back maybe 10 years if he was there at all, kind of thing. But I thought we might, or you might, I don't know if you know how to do this better than I, to check with the Tacoma Tribune, the local paper. They might have something in terms of an obituary or some other information about him. I don't know.
Well, I talked to I believe his son.
Oh, you did? Wow.
And he said he relayed the message on. He wouldn't give me any information, but he said he relayed the message on.
Oh, huh.
And if his father hadn't answered, it's because he wasn't interested. And I did have 4 people for various reasons who weren't interested. His son, Kevin, is at a 253 number.
Okay.
But where Lee is, that address is all that I had. And you say that's a rental house now.
No, yeah, it's a really nice house on the water, on the lake and so forth. But it's, I think just different people buy and sell it kind of thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he is. And
Okay.
the son, Kevin, was not particularly helpful.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me give you his number.
Okay, sure.
You talk to him.
Yeah.
253.
Yeah.
255.
Okay.
1581.
Okay. Okay. I'll do that. Yeah. I need to sign off now, but I'll look forward to keeping in touch. And I also thank you so much. And I'm so impressed with the whole works, all of you guys. So thank you for your service. Thank you for being on here and sharing. So I hope to get to see more. Yeah.
To see you.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Porky.
Thanks.
Steve, do you have Bill James' phone number?
He's deceased. However, his daughter is on the list. And says that she would be very happy to answer any calls or questions that people have. She's Michelle James, and she's at 904. I think this is her number, 904-923-1777.
Okay, I'll give her a call.
Yeah, that's the number on the list. Her email is also on the list.
Okay.
And that's number 82. Now, whoever was asking about Hayes, he had a flower shop in 40 Fort, Pennsylvania.
I was.
And he sold it. But then he apparently bought it back again or got it back again for one reason or another. And the number I have was that flower shop. And I kept talking to the secretary who says she gave him the message, or some woman who says she gave him the message. And if he didn't call me back, he wasn't interested. So, I haven't heard of any Nigerian princes working an OCS scam. I find it weird to understand why some people are, if I say OCS, why they're still skeptical about the call. But who can tell?
So is the flower shop number on the list?
The flower shop number is yes, that's that number that's there with an S on it. That's the flower shop.
Okay.
All right. The couple of people, Kemp is having a problem with, his ability to communicate. So I understand why he's out. Stumpf just says he's not interested. And Greg Greaves, he was strongly not interested. In fact, he said, stop sending me emails. I don't know what about that. So there's really not that many people who aren't there. Carlton Conrad, Jim Conrad, I'm pretty sure he's at that address, but he was pretty standoffish in past efforts to communicate with him.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Brack and I have been trying to find Pat Gibson, who did not graduate. Would you, is that something you might be able to see if you can turn him up?
Let's see. Let's show right here. Okay. Gibson Patrick C. A long time ago, I had a number for him, 314. Let me see what I can do here. Look, I'm gonna be playing with a computer here while I listen to you talk. Why don't somebody else lead the conversation for a while?
Gibson started with us, but he got disenrolled due to, well, he had a malformed finger.
Trigger finger. Wasn't it?
And that cost him his career as an officer. He was reverted back to enlisted status, and then we lost track of him. And I think that was several weeks into the program, so maybe even up to intermediate. I don't know. I can't recall exactly, but he was with us for quite a while. But his trigger finger was, I don't know, had some kind of an issue with born with. It's malformed.
And they didn't do anything in basic or AIT?
I'm sorry?
They didn't do anything about it in basic or AIT?
No. And it really didn't hinder him at all. But somebody picked up on that and decided that was a no-no. So
those of us with glasses probably had more of a hindrance. Yeah. In fact, I have a picture of Pat in the room with Brack. But I don't know how to get it on the screen.
I can allow you to share the screen.
Okay. That doesn't mean, what do I need to do with?
You need to open the picture up somewhere on your desktop.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I can show you the rest of these too, if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you get, as soon as you get set up on the desktop.
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay.
I'm not guaranteeing this is going to work.
Well, neither am I.
Two negatives make a positive. Okay.
The computer, it won't work.
Okay.
I don't recall seeing that picture though.
Hold on.
Close your eyes.
Okay. Down the bottom, you have what it says share screen.
I see that.
Click on that. And it shows you your desktop. You find out where your picture is, and then you show that.
Okay, let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
So
Are you looking through your bifocals?
They're progressives. Well, now the pictures have disappeared, so oh, wait a minute. Well, you guys might want to go on and talk while I do this, or try to do it.
All right, I have a Patrick Charles Gibson in Yardley, Pennsylvania. Does that sound possible? Do you have any connection? He's 79 years old.
Sounds possible. Where did you find that?
That's on White Pages, the paid side of White Pages. Let me.
Is there a phone number?
Let me go ahead. I'll call it in a minute.
Okay.
Let's see. First, I gotta be.
Yeah, he was one of the unfortunate few that got forced out against his will. The other ones were, majority of them, they either decided they didn't want to go through the program, or they were on the hit list for attack officer. So,
Yep. And Bill Richard.
I think we lost, what, 20 some odd that way.
But Harold Bale is still there.
All right. When I went in and clicked on it, it said that he died in 2006. So if that's him, then we know where he is.
Yeah. Patrick, what was his middle?
C. Gibson.
C.
Charlie.
Might be able to find an obituary. Well, everybody's on here. Has anybody been back to see the new OCS program or the current OCS program?
In 2001, we were at Fort Benning and saw some of the things at that time, but things are changing so fast.
Well, it's now a 12-week course. Cut down drastically, and they don't have any more spit shined anything. I don't know why they didn't. They certainly hurt the market on butcher's wax, but they're up there in the quads, the big quads up on Main Post. That's where all the OCS companies are located now.
It's a
your old building, and your old building disappeared. It was torn down, and the new barracks was built. Rather modern looking thing, and that's, I think it was housing the 4th Battalion, which is still the Airborne Battalion. So the airborne folks were in there. So,
you know, I'm active in the Alumni Association, the chapter that we have here, Chapter 1, and so they have every once in a while the Alumni Association has a Zoom along with current candidates. And I don't want to be too negative, but some of the stuff these people ask, I mean, I don't think they would have made it through our program. And, you know, like Chuck says, you know, they've taken everything out of it, like all the stress that we were always under. But the kinds of questions they ask are strange. Like, am I going to be able to call my wife during the day? Do we have to take cell phone calls at night? in the questions that applicants ask about getting their stuff together for whatever the review board is, I mean, it just strikes me that, that they may have really lowered standards. I'm not sure, because when we were down there for the 50th, was it the 50th, Chuck, you and Tony and myself, or me, that we talked to some of those people, and, they were really very sharp and really into it. But I just see some signs that make me wonder about some of the things that are going on. And it's just anecdotal, but it's certainly not the program that we went through.
Well, considering what's being taught in the schools these days, is not that much of a surprise. Right?
I think you're exactly right about that.
Even in a 6-year period of time, there's been a lot of negative influence. I mean, I'm trying to get somebody to write an article for our magazine. And the working title is Teaching the Sheepdogs to Love the Wolves. West Point actually taught a course on the Vietnam War using Francis Fitzgerald's book as the main element of the course. I mean, that's absolutely insane. There are a lot of really bad books to use to talk about the Vietnam War. She's beyond really bad. So, and that's what they're doing at West Point.
Well, my client and a lot of the people in his, or some of the people in his company, his commercial company, he's a VMI graduate. And as was my commanding officer in Vietnam, Colonel Showalter. He graduated, I think, in '96. And he talks about how things are really falling apart at VMI in his estimation. I don't know directly, but some of his classmates have said the same thing.
Well, for that middle period of time, or at least period of time that he was there, there's a fellow over there by the name of Alan Farrell. And he seemed to be one of the senior people over there, dean of something or other. And Farrell was an enlisted man in Vietnam and SOG, but he had a reputation of being probably the smartest guy in SOG. He really was a brilliant guy, skilled linguist, a lot of capabilities, and he was there as a senior person at VMI. Now he's gone; he's retired from there. I'm still in touch with him on a number of things, but Bob, you talked to Crosby. I don't know what his particular stance is on things these days, but what's going on in academia can't be a positive thing in his mind either. I can't imagine any of us.
Yeah. Well, I know when we talked, we were agreed that we were fortunate to go through what we call the old program, because even while we were there, they were opening it up, and people were using the buffers to do the floors and so forth. And I think we were one of the last, if not the last class to go through the old transition. But the big thing that we both talked about and agreed is the solid foundation that we had to build on, and then to strive to do, the right thing. And having been through a lot of this, not that we didn't have good training, I guess, in college and all this stuff. This just brought it at a different level and a solid level, to go forward. And it gave you, some real confidence in yourself and pride in what you had accomplished. And I know that in my first assignment out here at Fort Lewis, with all these ROTC lieutenants that were there, there there was a world of difference between the, what I went through or what I showed and what others that came out here from our class and these that came right out of ROTC. And it was amazing. In fact, when they opened a drill sergeant school and they brought all the lieutenants in, and then they gave us all a test. It is basically things that you learned in basic and AIT. And of course, we got higher class in our OCS. And came back the next day, and the major said, well, called out my name and asked me to stand up and said, I got the class scores, and you're either the top or the worst. What do you think? And I said, looking at these people, there's no way I'm going to be the worst. And I wasn't. And of course, I got 100%, but it was what we had learned. They being ROTC, they didn't have all this stuff. And it was helped us all the way through life.
Yeah.
That's what we learned. And then I haven't read Schellenberger's book, but I understand that's kind of what he said too, that you just said a course. Now, when I came back from a tour in Europe, when I went up and went to the advanced course, the first thing we had to do was write a paper. And I'm thinking, well, what's all this about? So I wrote on a topic, everybody says we have the best soldiers we've ever had. Nobody says we have the best officers we ever had. Well, I submitted it, and the class leader came back, the faculty came back and gave it to me, and he said, write on a different topic. But, a lot of people wouldn't have had the thought that they could write something like that. Like all the other classmates said, how'd you come up with that? And I said, I didn't come up with it. It's just what I have seen. And anyhow, as it turns out that he was married to a classmate of my wife, who they grew up together in a small town and so forth. So I, he was really polite about doing it, but giving it to me, but they didn't accept it. But I still thought that was a valid title at that time. But I had no intention of ever being in the military. I had been accepted to the Peace Corps, and I was 2 weeks away from going to training to go to Venezuela when the draft board said, you got a week. You can choose to get it joined or you can be drafted. And that's what started it. And so I went to Portland, went through an interview, and was accepted to go to the college op program. And as I was leaving, the colonel called me over and he said, everybody voted to have you go in but one. And I said, oh, well, why? What was that? He said, he was the PMO and he said you could have gone through ROTC. So, it's life just sends you in a different path. And I felt after OCS, I was prepared, whatever that path was, that I could survive. I could do well. And
Excuse me for interrupting. I have to go, so I'll see you guys in August.
Okay.
Great.
Super.
Yeah,
I love this thing. See you, Chuck.
Take care.
Bill. Goodbye.
Bill.
Yeah, I mean, the program was really downsized to start with. When we saw it last, and I say we, I think Bill was down there and maybe Tony, they were down to 3 companies total. They were integrated. I say integrated because then females were involved in it. Your barracks building or our barracks building, the first floor was strictly offices. And each platoon, beside having a TAC, had a senior NCO as a permanent party. The upstairs, there were 2 rooms that were combined. They had a weight exercise room up there. They had curtains, they had throw rugs, they had all the things that we would have liked to have had, they had. And then I'm not sure about the air conditioning. I know that was an issue. We had that wonderful cross ventilation between one side of the room or one side of the hall and the other side, but they were working on air conditioning. All that has changed. That's up in the quads, and the quads are they're laid out like suites. There's 4 rooms. I don't know if you've ever been in them. There's 4 rooms with an entrance hall. If you've seen a picture, it looks like the old cavalry buildings with the balcony. That's the entrance door, and it opens in a little hall, and there's 4 rooms in there. Each has a bathroom, and they actually have, I'm told, this is third party, they have room service. So changed. It's the stresses that we were put under, staying up late, getting up early, and all the harassment, the rec rooms and the trash details and all this stuff are gone. It's strictly an academic type thing, academic to include field training. Field training is still involved. And I think there's a bigger emphasis on what field training they're doing than what we had. But I mean, we had all the training, but it was in increments. I think they have more of that, but it's become a resort. Compared to what we saw, it's now a resort. And these guys, it's branch in material. It's not infantry. It's branch in material. From there, it's like the basic officer course. Officers go off different directions. They go through a basic course. So the infantry guys stay there. Everybody else goes to different posts. So. And it's an armor center too now. It's Fort Knox has moved down there, so you've got as many tanks as you do infantry. Probably more tanks down there now than the infantry. Very modernized. Super PX, super hospital. You know, it's out of the ordinary. Again, comparing it with what we had to deal with. So.
Well, I thought that was one of the interesting things when we had the armor training, and I don't know who it was in our class, but when the instructor asked if there were any questions, and he said, ask the question, when we turn blue, if you're at the armor school, do you turn yellow? And the instructor kind of smiled and said, I'll get back to you. And the next day he said, yes. But, you know, there was little things like that that kind of helped go through all the time. And but I would say, Steve, maybe you can send out another email to people saying, mark on your calendar the date in August that we'll have another meeting, and ask them if they have any photos to bring in. But I would think that like some of the stories that we talked about, if they can, you know, be brought up in the bigger group, you know, to shake the memories, you know, of people, and know that I still, you know, have that, you know, wet birds never fly at night, you know, that we were supposed to put in all of our military letters. And I still lace my shoes up the same way that we were lacing them up so that everybody was the same, you know, and little things like that. That people may or may not still remember, but if they do, you know, that they can maybe have a little sheet up, you know, where we can check off the things that we could topics.
I'll put out an email with the August date on it, but I'll also do that in a couple of days. I'll have this recording done, and I'll turn it into a YouTube video so that people can look and see what we did here.
Yeah.
And that might say, well, I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have our names, because when they watch it, they won't recognize anybody.
No, that's not, unfortunately, that's not happening. Somehow, when you record this, the names disappear.
Oh.
And that is a problem. I just have been corresponding with the Zoom people to ask them why that happens, and they haven't really been able to tell me. What I'm doing is periodically I'm making a screenshot, because the screenshot does keep the names intact. but the video does, video only covers the view area, the black part. And it somehow, for some reason, eliminates the names.
Steve, what are the chances of you being able to put a picture from the OCS yearbook beside the person's face when they call in?
That would be probably more than my skills would have. Because first of all, there's not enough room on the screen. If we have 30 people here, we couldn't even keep them all on one screen. They're starting to go off on a second screen. I think it was 25. And then all of a sudden we had a second screen going on. And to do a picture, side-by-side picture, I have no idea of how that would even happen. Somebody can look into it. I can't really. I'm basically, this is a busman's holiday for me. For the last 4 months, I've been doing Zoom meetings and looking up, finding people, looking them up, calling them to a meeting, having a meeting, and doing the follow-ups. And I'm doing it, and I expect to be doing it for the next year, maybe a year and a half. I've got probably got 75 more camps to do. As I said, this is a busman's holiday for me. I took this as a relief from what I was doing. But it's fun because you talk to people that have stories from long ago, haven't talked to anybody from such a long time ago. It's all inside. They want to get it out. They want to talk. And it's been the case with our class. It's been the case with my unit in Vietnam. This is a good opportunity to do it. Probably should have been done earlier, but we just weren't alerted to Zoom before the COVID-19 crap came out. And now most of the people I talk to, yeah, sure, I've done it, or my wife's done Zoom. I don't worry about it. I can do it. The downside of that is that nobody wants to learn. Oh, I know about Zoom. I can do it. My wife can do it. But there's a couple little finer points that would be nice to get out. I try to tell you about it, like moving the participants in the chat room, and breakout rooms is something that very few people know anything about. They just haven't done it before. It's a good vehicle, but the Zoom is a really good platform. It's got all these little features on it. Every time I think there's something new that I want them to do, they've already done it. It's there. Look, let me send you a website. Okay. Okay, you should all have received a message from me with a link on it. All right, that's a magazine that I put out. And it's free download. Okay. They're very interesting magazines, a lot of good people working on it. And there are 5 magazines that are done. The 6th one will probably come out in the next, well, before April 1st. And then the last 2 that we have planned, I hope they come out. Just like the download that I had, the download on this is a little bit cumbersome. The guy who designed that website went off and died on me. And the only thing I can do is load up more magazines. And I have no idea how to change the sign up process. So you have to look in your spam box after you sign in. And but it's free. The magazines are there, free downloads. And each magazine has its own password. Save the magazine with a password built into the name and you won't forget it. That's simple. If you have any problems on anything, feel free to give me a call. If you need some help finding somebody, or if you know somebody there on the list that you want to get a hold of, bring them in. By all means, do it. I mean, Bob and Corky went out and rousted out a couple of people from Washington State. That was good. And Bob Sherwood actually went to a place called Growler's Gulch, which is, I didn't know what to expect there.
And it was worth it. It was amazing.
Look, you guys, we all had connections at OCS, and a one-on-one connection after all this time has a lot of meaning. Now, don't be shy about calling somebody up, your roommate or somebody who you got along well with at OCS, because it really is going to be welcomed. People who have asked me for phone numbers when I first started this, and I was able to give it to them. They said, "Oh wow, I haven't had a chance to talk to this guy. I didn't know where he was for all these years. Now I'm talking to him." That's good. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve.
I'm gonna have to sign off. I gotta be somewhere at 1 o'clock, so.
Okay.
I really appreciated all of you, and I'll sleep well tonight.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
I'm gonna have to go too. Steve.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, this
We will.
Harold, I have to sign off also. And Van Dam, don't forget I'm with Victor. Thanks now.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
I'm gonna have to sign off too. So thanks a lot, Steve. And I'll see you on graduation day.
All right. Very good.
Take care.
So, Gene, your son did a great job yesterday.
Yep. But he does it for a living. So he works for the state. And I really appreciate you dedicating your life to this. You took a picture of me when I was acting company commander, and you got on the ground and shot it from the ground up. Do you remember that shot?
Well, it's probably in one of those books over there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great shot. So anyway, nice to see you all. And Bill, and I am going to leave also because I don't want to be the last person in the room.
Well, I'm the last person because I'm the one who has to turn off the lights.
Well, all right. Take care.
You too.
Steve, it's been great. I really enjoyed it. And I hung in there to almost to the very end, but Bob's going to be the final sign off. Take care. Thank you so much.
All right. Good to see you again.
Yes.
Bob, everybody else is
Like the
disappearing.
Like that picture in the yearbook, I had to run to the latrine.
See the lead there?
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay, see you. Thanks again, Steve.
now, Bill, you've downloaded this thing. Bob, did you download the OCS file?
Sure.
You did do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So very good. All right. Well,
okay.
We'll hear from you later and see you in August.
Okay. Thanks now.
Okay. Take care.